101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. You're wide awake, staring into the darkness, and that one question keeps circling your mind like a vulture. What am I actually doing with my life? Or maybe you've finally gotten everything you thought you wanted. The perfect grades, the relationship that looks great on Instagram, your parents' approval. And yet, something feels off. You're standing at the finish line you've been racing toward for years, and instead of fireworks, there's just this hollow echo. Here's the thing that might blow your mind. That empty feeling, it's not a bug in your system, it's a feature. It's your soul's way of tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, "Hey, I think we've been climbing the wrong mountain." And here's the really wild part. Your brain is actually terrible at predicting what will make you happy. Like, catastrophically bad at it. It's basically that friend who always gives you terrible restaurant recommendations, but you keep trusting them anyway. We spend decades making plans, chasing goals, and building dreams, all while operating under this massive assumption that we know what's good for us. Then along comes Brianna Wiest with her book 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think, and she gently pulls back the curtain to reveal a truth that's both terrifying and liberating. If you want to change your life, forget about changing your circumstances. Change your mind first. This isn't your typical rah-rah self-help book with a step-by-step formula for success. This is something quieter, more profound. It's sold millions of copies and been translated into languages around the world, not because it gives you easy answers, but because it asks the questions you've been too afraid to ask yourself. Wiest doesn't hand you a GPS with turn-by-turn directions. She gives you a compass and teaches you how to trust your own sense of direction. Today we're going on a deep dive into this remarkable book, not just skimming the surface, but really exploring the hidden architecture of your own mind. By the time we're done, you're going to see the invisible puppet strings that have been influencing your choices. You'll understand why you sometimes torpedo your own happiness, why you're inexplicably drawn to things that hurt you, and why your darkest moments are often disguised as doorways to transformation. This isn't just a book summary. Think of it as an invitation to become the architect of your own consciousness. So take a breath, get comfortable, let's dive in. Let's start with an idea that sounds almost offensive when you first hear it. Your brain doesn't care about making you happy. Its actual job? Keeping you alive. And it does this by obsessively seeking one thing above everything else: familiarity. Think about your dream life for a second. Really picture it. What do you see? Chances are, it's a shinier version of something you've already experienced. A relationship like your parents had, but better. A career like the ones you've seen on TV. Your brain, for all its incredible processing power, is basically just remixing old content. It's the DJ of your consciousness, and it only has access to tracks from your past. This is the sneaky trap that keeps so many of us stuck. We think we're chasing happiness, but we're actually just chasing the familiar. And sometimes, the most familiar feeling we have is that gnawing sense of not quite good enough. That background hum of anxiety we've learned to mistake for normal. Wiest introduces this concept of an emotional upper limit. Imagine your happiness has a thermostat, and it's been set to a specific temperature since childhood. When life gets too good, when you fall madly in love, or nail that dream job, or just feel unexpectedly peaceful, an alarm starts blaring in your subconscious. This is too unfamiliar, too far from the emotional temperature you know, too unsafe. So what happens next? You sabotage yourself. Not consciously, of course. That would be too obvious. Instead, you pick a fight with your partner over something ridiculous. You procrastinate on that important project. You invent a crisis to worry about. You find some way, any way, to bring yourself back down to that familiar emotional baseline. That old discomfort? It feels weirdly like home. Have you noticed this in your own life? Something wonderful happens, and instead of celebrating, you immediately start scanning for what could go wrong. That's not pessimism. That's your upper limit alarm system, pulling you back into familiar territory. Which brings us to one of the book's most counterintuitive insights. The things that scare you aren't always danger signs. Often fear is literally pointing you toward what you need to do most. Wiest drops this truth bomb. Fear equals interest. If you genuinely didn't care about something, you wouldn't fear it. You'd just scroll past it like you do with 90% of your life. But when you feel that spike of fear about speaking your truth, starting that creative project, telling someone how you really feel, it's because you're deeply invested. You care. A lot, and you're standing right at the edge of your comfort zone, which happens to be the only place where actual growth occurs. Think about someone who's terrified of heights. They're not just afraid of falling. There's something about the vast open space, the incredible view, that fascinates them. The fear and the fascination are dancing together. Most of us completely misread our internal signals. We've been taught that happiness equals good and fear equals bad, that our instincts are this reliable GPS telling us to run from pain and sprint toward pleasure. But emotionally intelligent people understand something more nuanced. They know that sometimes the greatest discomfort comes right before the greatest breakthrough. That feeling of everything falling apart? It might not mean you're on the wrong path. It might mean you're finally on the right one. It's the sensation of your old self dissolving to make room for who you're becoming. Wiest identifies a whole collection of uncomfortable feelings that are actually growth indicators disguised as problems. Feeling lost, for example. We panic when we can't see the road ahead, when that 5-year plan we made at 17 suddenly feels irrelevant. But feeling lost often means you're becoming more present. You're no longer living inside a pre-written story in your head. You're starting to inhabit the real, messy, unpredictable present moment. And until you adjust, that freedom feels terrifyingly like being adrift. Or that random anger that erupts out of nowhere, that's not you being broken. That's often a suppressed part of yourself finally demanding airtime. It's the anger of realizing you've been accepting less than you deserve or living according to someone else's script. That anger is rocket fuel for change, if you're brave enough to listen instead of suppress. This is what emotional intelligence actually means. It's not about eliminating bad feelings. It's about becoming fluent in what they're trying to tell you. Your sadness? It's showing you what you're still clinging to that needs to be released. Your anxiety? It's highlighting where you're trying to control something that's fundamentally uncontrollable. Your guilt? It's revealing where you think you've failed someone else's expectations. Your shame? It's pointing to where you think you are fundamentally wrong in someone else's eyes. These feelings aren't your enemies. They're messengers from your deeper self. For years, we're conditioned to numb them, ignore them, slap a positive affirmation over them. But here's the catch. You can't selectively numb emotions. When you shut down the pain, you also shut down the joy. When you close off the fear, you're also closing off excitement. You're either open to the full spectrum of being human, or you're living behind glass. The emotionally resilient person isn't someone who never hurts. They're someone who's developed the courage to feel anything. They understand that the worst thing that can ever happen to you is just a sensation passing through your body. It won't kill you, it's temporary. Once you really get this, something shifts. You stop running. You stop building your entire life around avoiding discomfort, and you start building it around pursuing meaning. Which leads us to another game-changing distinction. the difference between how your life looks and how your life feels. Our culture, especially in the age of social media, has become obsessed with the appearance of happiness. We curate lives that photograph well. We chase the impressive job title, the aesthetically pleasing relationship, the vacation that will generate enviable content. We're creating a narrative of success and then exhausting ourselves trying to live up to it. But as countless people discover, a life that looks perfect in photos can feel empty in your chest. That's because we've been trained to pursue outcomes instead of processes. We want to be a writer, but we hate the daily practice of writing. We want to be in love, but we resist the vulnerable work of actually being a loving partner. We want to be successful, but we resent the unglamorous daily grind it takes to get there. Here's what fulfilled people understand. Success isn't a destination with a flag planted in it. It's falling in love with the process. It's finding beauty in the journey. It's learning to appreciate the small, ordinary moments that actually make up most of your life. Your life isn't the highlight reel. Your life is the random Tuesday morning with your coffee, the commute, the small conversation with a friend, that quiet moment before sleep. If you're waiting for the big moments to start being happy, the graduation, the wedding, the promotion, you'll spend almost all of your life in the waiting room. The art of living is learning to find magic in the mundane. This requires a pretty radical shift. It requires letting go of needing external validation. One of the most freeing truths Wiest shares is this: the more aligned you are with a decision, the less you need other people to approve of it. When you're truly living from your authentic center, you don't need applause. You don't need permission. You're operating from a place of inner truth, and that's a kind of power that nobody can ever take from you. Of course, easier said than done, right? Our minds are powerful, but they're also running some pretty buggy software. Psychologists call these glitches cognitive biases. There's confirmation bias, where you only pay attention to information that confirms what you already believe. There's negativity bias, where one piece of criticism can completely overshadow 100 compliments. There's projection, where you assume everyone thinks and feels the way you do. You see the world not as it is, but as you are. And then there's extrapolation, one of the most destructive patterns. This is when you take your current moment and project it onto your entire future. Bad day, bad life. Feeling lonely now? You'll be lonely forever. Your brain treats this moment like a permanent condition. Emotionally intelligent people learn to catch these biases in action. They don't believe every thought that wanders through their head. They become observers of their own thinking. They can notice a negative thought and think, there's my negativity bias doing its thing, without letting it hijack their entire reality. This is what thinking about your thinking actually means. It's a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. It requires questioning yourself, challenging your assumptions. The wisest people, Wiest says, are the ones who go home and think, or maybe I'm wrong about this. This connects to another crucial theme: the stories we tell ourselves about our past. You probably think your past is fixed, unchangeable, but it's not. Your perception of your past evolves as you evolve. The memories you focus on, the meaning you assign to them, that's what shapes you. So many people are haunted by their history because they're locked into one interpretation of events. They see past failures as proof they're failures. They see past trauma as a life sentence. But as you grow, you can learn to see how the things that seemed like disasters were actually redirections. The heartbreak that felt fatal actually taught you what you truly need in a partner. The job you lost forced you to discover work you're actually passionate about. Your past didn't prevent you from having the life you want, it prepared you for it. This doesn't mean glossing over pain or pretending bad things were actually good. It means understanding them as part of your evolution. You're the protagonist of your own story, and every protagonist needs challenges. Those struggles aren't plot holes, they're the plot. This reframing connects to another powerful idea. The things that irritate you about other people are often things you can't see in yourself. Welcome to the concept of the shadow self. These are parts of you that you were taught were unacceptable. Maybe your anger, your ambition, your neediness. So you buried them, pushed them into the shadows. But they don't disappear. Instead, when you see someone else expressing those traits, it triggers you. You're not actually angry at them. You're angry because they're reflecting a disowned part of yourself back at you. You're fighting against your own desire to integrate that part back into wholeness. Your irritation is self-recognition. The things you admire in others are things you possess but haven't fully claimed. And the things you despise in others are things you haven't learned to accept in yourself. When this clicks, your relationships transform completely. Every interaction becomes an opportunity for self-discovery. That annoying coworker? That frustrating family member? They're all mirrors. They're showing you the parts of yourself that need attention. This journey toward self-awareness isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's about embracing all of yourself, the light and the shadow. It's about releasing the expectations you've been carrying around like weights. We all grow up with a script, a story about who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to achieve, and according to what timeline. Your 20s are for grinding, your 30s for settling down, your 40s for maintaining, I guess. But life doesn't follow a script. Wiest encourages us to let go of these rigid expectations. You don't owe anything to your younger self. You're not required to become the person you once imagined. Actually, if you're still that exact person, it means you haven't grown. Your only responsibility is to who you are today. And the most important question isn't, what am I supposed to want? It's, what do I actually want right now? This is a question worth asking yourself regularly. Your answers will shift and change, and that's not just okay, it's beautiful. The things truly meant for you will keep showing up. They'll be the recurring themes, the quiet longings that never quite go away. Learning to hear that inner voice is the ultimate skill. It doesn't speak in words. It communicates through feelings, intuitions, subtle pulls. It's that inexplicable draw toward a certain person, place, or pursuit. The things that are truly right for you rarely require lengthy logical justifications. They just feel right. They feel like coming home. The things you have to argue yourself into, the choices you have to convince yourself are good ideas. Those are usually the illusions. Those are decisions born from fear, ego, or other people's expectations. The journey of changing how you think is as much about unlearning as learning. It's stripping away layers of social conditioning, false beliefs, and limiting stories you've been telling yourself since childhood. It's about getting down to your essence. And who are you, really, at your core? You're not your body, not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your job title or relationship status. You're the awareness experiencing all of those things, the silent observer behind the curtain. This might sound abstract, but it's actually incredibly practical. When you identify with your thoughts, you're at their mercy. When you identify with your body, you live in fear of aging and decay. When you identify with your roles, you're devastated when they change. But when you identify with the awareness that is fundamentally you, the timeless, unchanging essence, you find a peace that can't be shaken by life's constant changes. This is true freedom. It's the freedom to experience life fully without being attached to outcomes, the freedom to love deeply without fear of loss, the freedom to be exactly who you are without needing anyone's approval. This isn't something you achieve overnight. It's a daily practice. It's the practice of learning how to think. It's choosing, again and again, to see the world not as a collection of problems, but as a field of possibilities. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow. Every heartbreak becomes an opportunity to heal. Every moment of uncertainty becomes an opportunity to trust. Everything is happening for you, not to you. This might be the most liberating perspective shift of all. When you choose to believe that life isn't happening to you but for you, everything transforms. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You're a co-creator of your reality. The challenges you face aren't punishments. They're assignments. They're perfectly calibrated to teach you exactly what you need to learn. Your life is a custom curriculum designed for the evolution of your soul. And the final lesson? It's simple. It's the art of acceptance, the art of letting go, the art of realizing you don't need to chase happiness because it's already within you. It's your natural state. The work isn't finding it. It's removing everything that's blocking it. And that journey, it's worth every step. As we wrap up this exploration of 101 essays that will change the way you think, let's just sit for a moment with the beautiful simplicity of what Brianna Wiest is offering. In a world constantly screaming at you to be more, do more, have more, this book is a quiet voice whispering something revolutionary. You're already enough. The happiness you're seeking isn't hiding in the next achievement, relationship, or purchase. It's here, now, in this exact moment, waiting for you to notice it. What makes this book especially powerful is that it gives you permission to be uncertain, permission to feel lost, permission to change your mind about who you thought you'd be. It dismantles the crushing pressure that culture places on young people to have everything figured out. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Nobody has it figured out. The wisest people are just the most comfortable with that reality. They understand that life isn't about reaching a final answer. It's about learning to live gracefully with the questions. The ideas we've explored today, observing your thoughts, understanding your emotions, embracing discomfort, reframing your past, these aren't just interesting psychology. They're practical tools for living a more meaningful, peaceful life. They're keys to a kind of inner freedom that no external success can provide. If there's one core lesson to take from this book, it's this. Your primary relationship is with yourself. Every other relationship is just a reflection of that one. How you talk to yourself, treat yourself, accept yourself, that sets the standard for everything else. So how can you actually use these ideas starting right now? Here are 3 simple practices. First, grab a notebook. Tonight before sleep, answer this one question. What would I do if I knew nobody would judge me? Don't censor yourself. Just write. See what emerges. This is your first step in learning to hear your own inner voice. Second, for the next 24 hours, practice noticing. Pick one simple, ordinary thing. Your morning coffee, sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your breath, and give it your complete attention for just a moment. This is the beginning of learning to live in the present, which is the only place life actually happens. Third, practice self-kindness. Next time that critical voice pipes up telling you you're not good enough, pause. Ask yourself, what would my wisest, kindest friend say to me right now? Then say that to yourself. As Wiest reminds us, you need to be kindest to yourself when it seems least deserved. That's our journey through 101 essays that will change the way you think by Brianna Wiest. We've covered some serious ground today, but remember, a summary is like looking at a photo of a beautiful landscape. The real magic happens when you walk through it yourself. The true power of this book isn't just in the ideas, but in how Wiest's writing makes you feel seen and understood. If anything today resonated with you, if it sparked even a small flame of recognition, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely shift how you see yourself and the world. You'll find a link in the description below. If you found value in this summary, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into another transformative book. Your support helps us bring these powerful ideas to more people. Let's keep growing together.